What's going on, everybody? Today, we are on the third episode, and we have brought a great person by the name of Octopad. Goes by Octo, Nick, whatever you want to call him. We're just going to go over a couple things today, chat with my man just like a regular day, see how he's been doing, see what's going on in the community. Octo, man, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Me on, Sniper. This is a lot of fun.
Hey, no problem, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate the first two episodes you did to Pete and Kevin. Those were pretty good. But yeah, so I'm Octopad. I've been around the Cool Cat space since about July and got into NFTs earlier this year. In real life, my name's Nick. I live in Luxembourg City in Europe. And yeah, no, it's been a crazy year in the space. Got into it, like I said, about earlier this year, about in May. And actually, first NFT I bought was a VFriend. And ever since then, I saw the market just kind of go crazy, and the collectability, the community, the utility, all the innovation has just been super exciting. So yeah, no, I'm super glad to now, be able to get a bit deeper in the community, make relationships with yourself, with all the other cool cats. So really, really fun year.
No, man, it's been fun, man. I think for me, I even started in July, and it's been a ride. Like you said, Cool Cats has been like my main thing, and just seeing it go from there. Honestly, I haven't been in VFriends. I want to kind of look at it. I've never really looked. Did that come out this year? VFriends?
Yeah, it came out in May. I think around May 11th was the initial drop. And that was actually a really interesting drop because it took 21 days to sell out, which is hilarious to think of now.
Yeah, because Gary V is like, Gary V.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I think Bored Ape Yacht Club came out just a couple weeks before that. And the PFP space was, almost non-existent, right? It was very, very few projects in that kind of niche. And Gary V came out with a totally different concept, and he did Dutch auction. So his tokens started off at a high price and then kind of went down to a floor price over time. And
so it's a token?
Yeah, so it's he did about 10,000 tokens, but a lot of them are access tokens that can give you, one-to-one calls with him. All of them are passes to a conference, but at the time they looked insanely inexpensive. And now looking back, I can't believe that project took 21 days to sell out, considering the market now. I think the floor is like 7-8 ETH on those two, so it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I've never even... So, I mean, I knew he had VFriends, but I've never actually looked into it. I didn't know... I honestly thought it was a profile picture NFT, but hearing what you said, I never knew that, so it's kind of crazy. I've never met anybody with VFriends, honestly, so, I mean, wow, I might have to give it a look, man, because Gary V, I mean, he's great in the space. I mean, I might not agree with everything everyone says, but I've seen him pop in a lot of projects, man. He does give a lot of people
spreads
love,
a lot of positivity around the space, so,
Definitely needed to, man.
Definitely appreciate Gary V.
Yeah. Well, man, I wanted to ask you, so I'm sure everybody has seen it, and there's a big person coming in with it being Adidas. Adidas has jumped into the NFT metaverse, all that. They did one with, I think it was G Money, Punks Comics, and BAYC. I mean, are you in any three of those? I mean, I'm not personally, but are you in any three of those projects?
Oh man, it's like rubbing salt in the wound for me.
Oh man.
I had an ape. I got an ape, I think sometime in May or June, and I actually flipped it at one point. It's a pretty funny story. I listed it because I thought that I could buy back in. I thought we were at like a top, so I thought I could list my ape, sell it, take a little bit of profit, buy back into the project. I wake up the next morning after I list it. I look at my phone and there's a New Yorker article published about BAYC. So I sprint to my laptop, try to delist frantically, right? It's still listed. So I'm like, oh, thank God, delist. And at that second, it got sold, right? So somebody bought it. I was like, oh no, okay, hopefully the market, goes down a bit. The very next day, Christie's announced an auction, and ever since then, I've been priced out of Bake. But listen, the Adidas partnership, I think it's interesting on so many levels. It's a big play for Adidas. It's super. It's super significant for all the projects involved as well. Showing up in the NFT space as a big brand, you're really gaining a lot of fans and a lot of marketing as a big brand as well. So I mean, it's got many dimensions to it. I think it's pretty exciting and pretty interesting.
It's a huge marketing move by Adidas too, like you said, because I saw someone pointed out on Twitter, not only majority of people that are NFTs, I would say about 99, if not almost 100%, know or have heard of Adidas. So, I mean, to a sense, Adidas is putting their logo on all these profile pictures. People are still seeing them. It's making them pretty relevant. I mean, there's people that were, I saw people go and buy tons of Adidas just because, their ape now has an Adidas jacket on or something like that. So, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know who all will come into the space. I'm hoping, Nike, all these big brands. But it's interesting to see what approach they'll take, because Adidas went into Sandbox, I believe. So it's does Nike come in and do something with Decentraland? Do they go in Sandbox and go around Adidas?
So I think Nike's actually made some.
It's going to be interesting. I think it's huge, but not only huge, good for us.
Yeah. So sorry, I cut for a second.
No, you're good.
I actually do think that Nike has already announced and started building metaverse partnerships. I think with Roblox they started to get in, but to me it's nowhere near as big a play yet so far as what Adidas has done. What you mentioned is a really good point. I mean, they're getting their logo everywhere into the PFPs of all these apes, right? And that's a lot of brand equity to be building, because people are looking at a lot of the stars and influencers that have apes as kind of aspirational brands, right? They look at apes, they want one, and if their ape is wearing Adidas, then intrinsically they're going to be wanting more Adidas. So it's pretty interesting. And then on the heels of Facebook announcing Meta, and on the heels of so many big institutions announcing, just being more crypto friendly, it makes complete sense to me. Yeah.
No, it's definitely been making sense. And with Nike doing Roblox, I mean, I do feel like that's a big move. Hopefully it's just them somewhat dipping their toes in the water to see how people react, and then maybe they make a bigger move. Because I would love to see them do, something much bigger than Roblox, which there's nothing wrong with Roblox, but how Adidas is approaching the NFT space, it's just been awesome. I've never seen, honestly, so many people love Adidas, but it just shows you, I mean, little things like that, it makes people love it. I can only imagine Adidas does a track jacket and puts a BAYC logo or a Punks comic logo on there. People would lose their mind, like how they did with the Hundreds and BAYC, which was super cool. Bobby Hundreds really killed that. But yeah, it's cool to see. But with that being said, I've seen a lot of people say this, where they were bullish on NFTs. They loved NFTs, but they weren't really bullish on the metaverse, man. I mean, do you have anything for people that might like NFTs but not the metaverse, or maybe vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
if that's a thing.
Listen, the metaverse is it's a term that gets thrown around. It's kind of a buzzword these days. Nobody really has the same definition as the next person as to what the metaverse is. I think the metaverse is already here, and we spend, I don't know how many hours a day just staring at our phones, staring at a computer screen. And to me, that's just the version, that's almost like metaverse light. What's coming is just more digital identity. Now, whether you attach the term metaverse to digital environments like Decentraland or the Sandbox, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But I think eventually it's just going to be another word for the internet at the end of the day. I mean, so maybe today the term metaverse is kind of very immature, or like, you know, in its youth stages, and as it matures, as people start to get more comfortable with the fact that, hey, we're going to have a meeting with, you know, my colleagues, but instead of doing a Zoom call, we're going to be in this virtual room, and we're all going to be using you know, a virtual whiteboard, because it'll just be easier to collaborate that way. Until the technology gets there, I'm sure there's still going to be a bit of bearishness around the metaverse, or people are going to be a bit skeptical. But once people really see that utility and understand that, you know, what the direction that it's going is actually just really simply to make our lives easier and more functional, I think it'll just be like saying that, you know, I'm skeptical about the internet in the 90s. Well, I mean, now it's just hard to even imagine a world without the internet.
No, that's a great point. And not only that, I think the word metaverse is thrown around a lot, because I have a friend who I told them about metaverse, they instantly think of Sandbox and Decentraland. And whenever I think of metaverse, I think of, like, I mean, you could the concerts in Fortnite, where everybody was playing Fortnite at the time, and I think like Marshmello had a concert, and everybody met up in there and listened to it at the same time. Like, to me, that's the sense of the metaverse. Like, everybody's there, hanging out, you know, doing something together. Boom! It's just like you said, a meeting or something like that. It'd be super cool, because like I saw Mark Zuckerberg do that video of what metaverse would look like. I think they're calling Facebook Meta or whatever now, but what Meta would look like during a meeting. And it was just super cool. I mean, it would be ways, because I have a friend that lives in Sweden. It would be so sick to like be able to pop on and do something like that. I mean, really bring friends, like even in the NFT space. Like, you're in Lux, I'm in Kentucky. I mean, that's so far from each other, but we could be in the same meeting in 30 minutes if we wanted to. So that's something super cool.
Yeah.
And as we transition to Web3 over Web2, I mean, it'll be something we see a lot more. And it'll be the internet, like you said. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been playing video games pretty much all of my, you know, since adolescence, all through my adult life. I'm 33 now. And I remember in like the year, I think it was the year 2000 or 2001, I was playing this game called Ultima Online, right? And it's this MMORPG, kind of like a very, very, very basic 2D version of World of Warcraft, right? The early days of online gaming. And people would just like go to a certain area in that RPG and just sit around and chat. And you see each other's characters, and that's like, you know, those were the beginning days of the metaverse to me.
Yeah.
And now, even thinking back to those days, I sold items from that game for dollars on eBay. Like,
Yeah.
I was already trading virtual assets 20 years ago. So, like it or not, you know, if people like NFTs but don't like the metaverse, I think at the end of the day, it's just that they haven't really experienced a good use case for virtual spaces in this context, or, you know, it'll just take a little bit of time.
Yo, that's a really good point that you put there. Like, buying stuff on games like that, World of Warcraft, stuff like that. I mean, people act like the metaverse. I'm not gonna say people act like. There are, I guess you could say, thoughts that, you know, you think that the metaverse just popped up overnight, and it's like, no, man, it has been around. There's been early stages of it. It just maybe wasn't referred to as metaverse, or it wasn't as accepted, or everyone wasn't doing it, or you might have even done it and not even known. Because I mean that was like me and Zed Run. I had no clue Zed Run was an NFT whenever I first got it. I just knew that, like, I was from Kentucky, we like racing horses, so like it looked fun. But they were like, yeah, man, that's an NFT, and you didn't even know it. And I was like, wow, man. So I think it's gonna get hitting. It's gonna start hitting people from like left field, like, oh man, I'm already a part of this and wasn't even aware. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be fun to see how everyone transitions and how people transition into it. Because for me, I mean, I'm so bullish on everything in the community. I try to get all my friends involved, which is kind of hard now. I mean, credit in July. I mean, we were out here having fun. You know, you didn't really have to worry about gas fees running up to 3,000. You know, getting outgassed every time. I mean, that just is some troubles now. But I mean, you can still have fun out here, man. And there's so many projects that, you know, you can have a chance at. And who's to say? I mean, we could see another. I don't know if saying punks is out of reach, but we could probably see another Cool Cats. We could see another Doodles, Dead Fellas. You know, them things aren't just a once in a lifetime thing. I mean, we're early, and I hate to sound so cliche, but we are early. I mean, I was looking at dude, I found messages in the Cool Cats Discord of me saying, like, yo, I know the Cool Cats are at 0.5. I'm a little outpriced. Hopefully I'm early, though. And I'm just like, goodness, I thought 0.5 was late. And they're already at like 8. And they hit 15. Like, good Lord, man.
I was scrolling through my phone the other day looking at screenshots of apes that I wanted to buy in like May and June. So don't even remind me. But yeah, no, I think you're totally right. People are just going to get more and more bullish about this. It's just going to go more and more mainstream. And like to your earlier point about Adidas and about other big brands entering this space, you know, mainstream adoption is coming. It's already, you know, accelerating pretty quickly. And the faster it does, the faster that people get used to the idea of, you know, simple online collaboration and spaces and entertainment. I think, you know, there's just gonna be more and more people that buy into the idea.
Not only that, man, like we were talking about before we started this whole podcast. So another way that they're doing this adoption, which I'm a personal big fan if this becomes more of a thing, but we were talking about Banksy. You know, if nobody knows who Banksy is, most do, some don't. He is this, I guess there's a mysterious aura around this man Banksy, or female. And he does a lot of, I guess you could say, controversial, sometimes motivational artwork, usually, I guess you could say graffiti. And he's just put them all around the world. Very known artist. But my point was, he had done a piece called Love is in the Air, and it was a person, instead of throwing a bomb, they're throwing a bouquet of flowers. But the cool thing is, this big artwork will be segmented into 10,000 pieces. And then with the 10,000 pieces, they're going to use a 100 by 100 grid and turn them into NFTs. Now, I believe it starts mid-December, around December 13th, I believe, is when the wait list starts, and the main sale begins the second week in January. But they'll be, like I said, they'll be doing the 10,000 particles into a 100 by 100 grid, and they will be selling these, so there can be multiple owners of the one piece. And whenever you buy the piece, you don't know exactly which piece you're getting. It's completely random, and you can buy more than one piece. If you ask me, I think it's great. I mean, I don't think they'll do this, but imagine if they did that with the Mona Lisa. Imagine if they did that with a Picasso piece, or Jackson Pollock, Andy Warhol, Basquiat, any of these phenomenal artists that have physical pieces that, I mean, me personally, I don't have $115 million to drop on a Basquiat, but to have the chance to get a piece of that, to become a piece of history, I'm not sure if, you know, auction houses or anyone has already done this with art, but if they have or have not, it's super cool, and I've really been looking forward to this. So, I mean, I kind of just wanted your thoughts on how people might move physical art into NFTs. And I'm kind of curious because whenever they do this, what happens to the original artwork? Like, are you physically going to cut it into the 10,000 particles? And like how, if nobody knows, Tom Sachs, he did a NFT where you built a rocket and you got to launch the rocket. If you found it, you got to keep it after they launched it. But it was cool that you could make an NFT and then get the physical rocket in hand. So I could imagine it would be super sick to get this Banksy NFT and then get the piece of particle that you bought as an NFT, and you're now a Banksy owner. It would be super cool, man.
Yeah, no, I think that project is super interesting. I mean, it's kind of this concept that we've hearing a lot about in the space about fractionalization, but now taking it to the physical art world, and I think that's pretty interesting. And I think it's interesting for several reasons. One, I was reading, I think it was a tweet by one of the big auction houses or a piece of news, I can't remember, but it was earlier this year, saying that the traditional art market has outperformed the S&P 500 by about 180 or 200% since over the past couple of decades. Now, excuse me for not having the exact numbers, but it's an interesting way for people to get exposed to non-traditional, or let's say alternative investments. Being able to buy, a share of a traditional artwork. I think that's super interesting and something that I personally would be interested in.
Absolutely.
As a business model too, I think, for this company. So it's actually a company called Particle, right, that's doing this, and their concept is to do this with other traditional artworks or physical artworks in the future as well. So it's pretty interesting. I read that they bought this Banksy for $12.9 million at auction.
Oh my goodness!
And they're doing 10,000 NFTs at $1,500 a pop to start. So already, if they sell out all those NFTs, they've just made about $2 million profit, right? So they'll bring in 15 million after their cost was maybe 12.9. So
that's
kind of interesting, because it gives their value proposition is essentially giving people access to investments in artists that they love at a smaller price point. That's pretty cool. And you mentioned like what happens to the actual art piece. I think they actually are going to store the Banksy and like preserve it, which is also an interesting thing. I mean, one of the pains about traditional art or other alternative investments, if you can imagine, like, I don't know, people buy collector cars or valuable pieces of art or whatever. You have to preserve those. You have to store them somewhere, and like you have this almost personal responsibility to take care of that artwork. So this investment in the NFT also puts that responsibility on the company, the Particle Foundation. So if you buy one of these Particle NFTs, you're also like trusting this company to take care of that artwork. So I think all in all, it's like super interesting project, and I'm gonna be watching out for that drop. I am actually pretty bullish about this concept.
I am too, man, because like I said, I'm a huge Banksy fan, and alongside a lot of other people. So just the fact that Particle will go and do something like this, I do think it's a little interesting that they'll be reserving the artwork, but I'm not mad at that. And I mean, if you're listening in, I definitely think you should look at it from a standpoint as, let's say you buy a Banksy piece. Are you going to take care of it? Like, if you spent 12 million, I mean, it's a piece of artwork that, I mean, can last forever if you take care of it, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, me personally, getting a chance like that is once in a lifetime. And like you said, I think they might do other artworks. There's no telling who they could bring out. If, like I said, Picasso, if they were to get their hands on that, and the price point for the NFTs, whenever we start mentioning thing in USD value, it does get a little like but when you look at like $1,500 in ETH value, you're like, that's not bad. If you've been doing this for a little while, I know if you might be new to NFTs, you're thinking, well, what do you mean it's not bad? Sometimes you can buy a cheap NFT and maybe flip it up to the price you need to get something else. But that's just, another reason why I love this community. You see myself, I started in July with 0 cool cats, and now I have 3. Have I lost money trying to get some? Of course, you can't win everything, but that's why, people always stress, do your own research, buy what you believe. And another big thing someone's always told me is, when you buy NFT, just imagine that it went to 0 right then and there, because if you're going to be investing in it, I mean, there's no reason to, quick flip it. But no, it'll be really cool to see what Particle does with their upcoming art, other things. And I'll be watching this too. Like I said, December 13th is when the sign up for the wait list happens. So I'll probably speak about this. Oh, wow, it's already December. I'll probably speak about this again next week, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Super excited to see how that unfolds.
For sure.
I hope I can even get in on the whitelist. I'm gonna have to check out if there is one and like how to participate. Super exciting.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, speaking of NFTs, I mean, I don't know who's aware, who's not aware, but Octopad actually has a project. It's not out yet, and I don't know the whole foundation of it, so I'm actually going to let Octopad tell you guys and girls what he has planned, what Atticus is, and more about it. So the floor is yours, brother. Go ahead and share whatever you need to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So yeah, like I said, I mean, I've been in the NFT space since May, and have really been collecting a lot of NFTs, joining a lot of communities, watching a lot of different drops, and I've always been kind of entrepreneurial. I mean, originally I've worked in so many different roles. Like, I used to be an engineer. I was a management consultant. I worked at one of the biggest tech firms as well, and always had this entrepreneurial itch. So NFTs coming around and being this kind of culmination of everything that I love, from collectability, gaming, art, tech, even finance and business. I was just like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I think this is one of the things that I would really love to do. So
yeah.
So just a few months ago, I think it was in August, early September, started to really think of what could an NFT project look like for me, if I were to found one. And I guess I saw a lot of similarities with a lot of projects and things that they were doing. And
Mm-hmm.
my core goal was to do something different, was to innovate and help push the space forward, right? You do see a lot of repetition in the space sometimes, a lot of similar looking projects or even similar concepts. Yeah, a whole lot. Yeah. And so I wanted to do something that was a bit new. So one of the first ways that I wanted to innovate was to make customizable PFPs. So Atticus is the project that I've founded. It's a customizable PFP NFT project, and it's going to be bridging rarity with game theory. So actually, your creativity with customization, how you customize your PFPs, will define the rarity of your PFP. So that'll be kind of a fun kind of gamification of that. And then, as for a theme, I mean, it's kind of an interesting or quirky one that I haven't seen in the space before. We're merging Greek mythology with kind of retro futurism. I don't know if you know, like Miami Vice aesthetic with vaporwave, like all these kind of like, yeah. So those retro 80s futurist vibes are really something that I resonate with when it comes to art. And so we're kind of merging these two worlds. I've always been a lover of storytelling, and Greek mythology is one of the most amazing stories, some of the oldest stories that we have. And seeing so many parallels between Greek mythology and what's happening in the crypto space today, I thought it would be really interesting to merge those two worlds. So here we are.
Man, did anybody found it with you? Is it just you yourself, or do you have a team, or are you working on a team?
Yeah, so essentially I put together a team fairly quickly. There's a couple of people that I was chatting with over the past several months on Discord. So I have a ops lead, or a COO, if you want to call it that, who has founded other companies, but is really experienced in DeFi and crypto. I have a tech lead that he's got, I think, about 12 years of development experience and over 5 years in Solidity. So he's really, really experienced. I'm super lucky to have those two partners. And of course, I mean, the core thing is also having a great artist, right? Because it is a PFP. So our artist, Kellocopter, is what she goes by in the space. She's actually new to NFTs, but she's been a
Oh,
corporate creative director and lifelong artist. She was a corporate creative director for about 10 years, actually. And just the other day we were chatting and she was like, yeah, this is really like the combination of all of the skills in graphic design, art, even the technologies that she's been forced to use to, make the layering work and all that stuff is really interesting. So we have a really, really good team, and we've just brought on another partner in marketing who has a lot of experience. He worked at Google in product and even in growth hacking, and at the end of the day, he started a marketing agency. So our powers combined, our forces
yeah,
kind
man,
of
that's a team right
unite.
there,
Yeah,
man.
it's really one of the things I'm most bullish on for this project. We have so much fun working together on this, and they're so professional. They really know how to challenge me, challenge each other, and come up with some really interesting ideas. So it's gonna be exciting.
Yo, man, that's big stuff, man. That's really good to hear. And not only that, it's kind of like I know I have personal friends listening in, so this is what I try to show y'all right here. Yes, I know Octopad, great guy, but this is when you have teams like this is things that I look for with a project. I look for teams that care about what they're doing. This team, I'm not the person who needs a team to be fully doxxed. Like, I don't have to know your full name. I don't have to know what you look like. I will still, buy into a project. Does that stuff help? I mean, yeah, it does help some people, but this is what I look for, man. And knowing that you are taking your own personal time to go look for these people, to find people to help you, people that aren't just, oh, thinking of ideas last night and then woke up and decided, oh yeah, I want to start an NFT project. You're finding people that are legitimately doing careers for themselves that might be affiliated with something other than NFTs. You have the other woman doing the illustrations. Big shout out to everybody on the team. It's crazy, man, because like I said in, I believe, my podcast last week, I've tried to make a project, and that stuff's not easy. And it can get really discouraging, too, because, I made a couple, nobody bought, and I was like, man, I don't see how these people do it. So, I mean, big shout out to you, man, just for doing what you want to do, man. You saw that it could be something different. I've never seen any customizable profile picture NFT project. So this is definitely a first for me. Definitely something that I'll be watching out for. And anyone listening in, this isn't us saying, oh, you have to go buy it. But I do suggest going and looking into this whenever it does come out, or whenever more tweets are coming out, because, I mean, you got to think about it. Revolutionary stuff. Being repetitive can only get you so far. I mean, if there's 10,000 ape projects, I mean, of course not all of them are going to survive. So, I mean, I think it's super cool, man, that you were able to sit back, kind of evaluate everything, and then say, okay, this is what I could do that's different than this, that, and the third, and this is how I'm going to go about it, man. So big respect to you.
Oh, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I mean, what you're saying is pretty interesting. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of customizable PFPs or any.
I haven't seen any.
Maybe a couple of projects have tried to toy with the idea, but not in the way that we're doing it. So we're actually going to create, or we're creating a UI tool on our website. So basically, you're going to get like this base god, right? Let's say you mint a Zeus. Well,
Okay.
you're going to get a Zeus. You're going to be able to, within a few days of the mint, already start customizing, what kind of traits or attributes, different eye pieces or different, shirts and that kind of stuff. Also different colors and backgrounds, all that stuff. And the interesting thing really is that it's a bit of a risk, like you said. There are a lot of copy pasta kind of projects,
Yeah.
which, I mean, a lot of the time they're really great. A lot of the time it's super cool to see how people make different interpretations of generative profile pictures. And I think generative art is super interesting, but being able to kind of merge NFTs in something that's customizable rather than generative kind of takes this lottery aspect away from mint. So when you mint an NFT today, typically it's generative and you don't really know what you're going to get, which is kind of fun. It's kind of like opening a pack of Pokemon cards or baseball
Yeah.
cards or whatever. But at the same time, we're giving an element of that. Like, you don't know which god you're going to get when you mint, but we're putting a lot more control into your hands to build the NFT or the PFP that you love by being able to select, all of the traits that it's going to have. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the community reacts to this. We've already started a bit of a Discord. People seem to be pretty excited about it. Whenever I bring it up, people are like, "Oh, that's interesting. We haven't seen a project like that before." So, yeah, I'm just super excited to try something new. No matter what happens, it's been extremely challenging, and working on problems and on business ideas that are innovative is just one of my greatest passions, and so it's super exciting to be able to do this.
I'm definitely going to support, man. I'm there. I always try to support all the friends when I can. And like I said, especially whenever something like this, I feel like it's revolutionary. I wouldn't care if it went to zero. It's just something that I enjoy. You know what I'm saying? I know that you have a Discord and a Twitter, which whenever this episode airs, by the time you guys hear this, I will have a tweet with the Atticus Twitter attached to it, so everyone can check that out, which I highly recommend. But do you have a date in mind, or maybe a time frame in mind, or are you still just kind of taking it, as it rolls on and working on it? Like, do you have anything?
So initially, I really wanted to launch in December because that was a time period that I thought could be really exciting to get people into the project and kind of playing with some of the customizability before the holidays. But we've decided to launch in January, so just stay tuned. We're launching in January because we wanted to build some additional utility. We saw some interesting things happen in the NFT space over the past couple of weeks, and we were like, you know what, it would be a shame not to pivot, not to build some more technology to kind of respond to that. And so, without giving away any major details, we wanted to take a little bit of extra time to excite people and to continue to push some of those latest innovations with gamification forward. So just stay tuned. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out on our Twitter, and I'm always around, man. So super happy to onboard anybody and to always just chat.
Yeah, man, that's super dope, man. And like I said, I'm super excited to see it. And I mean, with the episode today, I also wanted to tell everybody, I'll probably be letting y'all know this every episode. I know I cut out several times, and sometimes the other party cuts out. If they do, it's usually my fault just because of my internet connection. So every podcast, I'll probably apologize to you guys for that. I'm still working. This is something that I greatly enjoy. I greatly love having everybody come on this podcast, whether it's someone you barely know, someone you know a lot. That's why I wanted to bring Octopad on here, because I feel like with the podcast, it's easy to try to interview all the biggest and what people feel like are the best people in the community, but there needs to be a platform for the fringe, for the people that might not have a lot of following on Twitter, or maybe just made their Twitter new to the NFT space, but they are offering great things. So I do want to let everybody know, even listening to the podcast, I do a bunch of research on my stuff, but I highly, highly, highly suggest always do your own research. Even with me and Octopad being here, we still want you to, look into Atticus and any project you buy. And with that being said, Dude, I greatly appreciate you having you on here and coming on here with me for the third episode. Now Pete, Kevin, you guys have all been just amazing, man, and it's super cool to be able to sit down with the people of the community, whether it be Cool Cats, whether it be any project, just to be able to sit down and like hear what y'all have to say. I learn something new every time I do an episode, so I'm super grateful for it, man, and I wouldn't be here without all of
Thanks a
y'all.
lot, Sniper. No, this was a lot of fun. Always happy to chat about this stuff, and I really appreciate what you're doing. You know, putting up podcasts, creating content in the space, helping people understand what's going on. It's super important. So I appreciate, you know, all this work that you're doing to get the word out about what's happening and the latest in the NFTs, and just keep fighting the fight, man. It's awesome to be on, and awesome to hear the work that you're going to put out.
I appreciate it, man. It's always fun, and like I appreciate the kind words. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I don't care if I have one download. You know, I'm always going to put them out. It's needed, and if it helps one person learn a little bit more, I feel like I've done my job, man. So once again, before I shut this thing off, greatly appreciative for you, Octopad, and man, I wish you nothing but success with Atticus.
Thank you. I'll see you around the Coolcast Discord or the Atticus Discord, man. Cheers.
For sure, man. You have a great day. And for everyone else, that'll wrap up the third episode. I got some people lined up for the futures. You know, we do have Christmas coming up. If you celebrate, we do have New Year's Eve coming up. So some things may switch around as we get closer to those two holidays. But I just wanted to say thanks everyone for listening in. Thanks everyone for you know, messaging me, the kind words, critical feedback, all that. It's super important, and I love you all. Y'all are great, and I hope you all have a great day. Take it easy.